and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Controversy around the special intensive revision of the Bihar electoral rolls is refusing to die down. In fact, as the days are passing by, the situation is becoming more chaotic, and on the ground, the situation completely looks out of hand because the people are anxious that what if they don't possess the documents, what's going to happen? Will they be declared as foreigners? Will they be declared as second-class citizens? These are the fears which so far Election Commission has not tried to address. In fact, now the bureaucrats have also started writing to the Election Commission, and one of them is Mr. E.A.S. Sarma, who is the former secretary to the government of India, and he's addressed a letter to Mr. Ganesh Kumar, Mr. Sandhu, and Mr. Joshi, who are the three election commissioners, saying that this entire process is exclusionary. He has sent them an email and he hasn't heard anything from the Election Commission so far, but we'll try and understand as to how this process is exclusionary. What is it going to result into? Joining me this evening is Mr. E.S. Sarma, former secretary to the government of India. So it's a real pleasure to have you on the program. And in your letter, I was looking at your letter and read it carefully, where you pointed out how exclusionary this entire process will be. And if you can explain that how this exclusion will unfold for the people, whether it is the tribals, whether it is the backwards, whether it is the OBCs, how is the exclusionary process going to unfold for all these people?
The guidelines issued by Election Commission of India, not only exclusion, it will result in widespread harassment of people. Now, they mentioned a number of documents which a voter should produce to be able to be eligible for inclusion in the electoral roll. Let us take those things by one. Birth rate. You see, they want birth certificate, not birth rate, birth certificate. Now, birth certificate in India, when you go to villages, ask people, very few of them will have this. Very few of them will go to the authorities, go through the hassle of registering their births. So I find that in Bihar, it is less than 3% of the population. Then the second one is government and PSU employees' ID cards. I mean, everybody knows it's a very, very small percentage. Government size is shrinking. They're outsourcing services. There's also much less than 2%. Now, the important thing is, in the case of tribals, they said Forest Rights Act certificate. I was Commissioner of Tribal Welfare in Andhra Pradesh. I know this 2006 legislation. I know. I go to the tribal areas here. In the case of Bihar, I went through the data given by the Minister for Tribal Affairs to the Parliament. And in the case of Bihar, 4,496 claims were received, and they're mostly rejected, except 191 where they granted the certificates. That means basically they are not, implementing the act properly. I mean, there's a lot of criticism on all the states, actually, not only Bihar, everywhere. So to cite this Forest Rights Act certificate, I think is, in my view, it is very, very erroneous. Then many other documents which are not relevant. Two things which are not mentioned. One is Aadhaar card. So everybody knows Aadhaar card, it's the Government of India's statutory identity card. And I looked at the population of Bihar and projected in how many Aadhaar cards. Roughly 87.5% of the population of Bihar, they have Aadhaar cards. Okay, at least, a large percentage is included, but still it excludes some people. Then ration cards. Now, ration cards is something universal. It's a robust kind of a thing, because I was asking some migrant workers in Delhi, and they said, from Bihar, they said, sir, we'll go to Bihar and vote there because my ration card is there. So why are they not mentioning that ration card? At least about 95% of the people have ration cards because they need rations. So that is not done. In addition to this, this particular kind of thing, where it excludes the voters, it actually affects scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and OBCs, other disadvantaged sections, people who have very low literacy levels, minorities, women, many backward areas in Bihar, because that's where literacy rates are low. It will exclude lakhs and lakhs of voters from the electoral process. Something very, very serious. That's not the only thing. In Annexure B of the guidelines, there is a clause 5B, where they said if you find a foreigner, you report to the concerned authorities. Now, I know what this means in Assam. Assam, somebody going on the road and the policeman says, "You look like a foreigner." And then they arrest him and put him in jail for 2 or 3 years. And because he doesn't know what documents are. He must be having all those documents. He doesn't know, understand the meaning. So some public-spirited NGO went to the High Court, and High Court ultimately said they produce the document. They had all the documents of citizenship. The High Court said no, he's not a foreigner. But in the process, he lost his livelihood. He lost his children's education. I brought it to the notice of the National Human Rights Commission, Assam Human Rights Commission. They were in touch with me. So this is something which I'm worried about. See, the electoral process, polling is one thing, you exclude people. Then you subject them to harassment. It looks as though the whole thing is targeted against some people.
But do you see this as some sort of conspiracy against the citizens of India? And when it comes to Bihar, and of course, starting with Bihar, because many people, the election data scientists I have been in touch with, and they have given me interviews on various platforms, and they have said that, the Form 7, Form 8, then Form 17C, they tried to spike up the vote percentage, but they couldn't get too much of success. So now they are trying to devise a totally new methodology for Bihar elections, and this is happening through special intensive revision of the electoral roll. So do you also suspect that this is some kind of a new tactics to steal votes, to steal the mandate? Do you see this as some kind of a new tactics?
Yes, I think so. I remember the last intensive survey in Bihar was done in 2003. At the time, there is one Mr. KJ Rao, who was an employee of the Election Commission. Later on, he was appointed as advisor. He went from door to door and verified. It became a hero, a legend in Bihar. He did a fantastic, very good job. I invited Mr. KJ Rao to come to Visakhapatnam to show me. I was retired at that time. We went to a constituency. We did a limited door-to-door survey. And I saw how he does it. This is not the way. He did it in a very, very constructive way. And then local inquiry, find out from neighbors, others, local people. And it was a very systematic kind of thing. Instead of that, I don't know why Election Commission suddenly thought of these very, very exotic things like Forest Rights Act certificate and something, that kind of thing is very, very, I feel very worried, because this will lead to a great deal of harassment. And Election Commission, every member, he's selected through a process where the majority is the political executive, NDA government. So there is already a feeling they're not independent. So they should go out of the way to establish their trust with the people. Every time a political party makes a complaint, or a personal complaint, Election Commission's response is not to address the complaint. They'll say, oh, somebody's made complaint, vexatious complaint, they're eroding the credibility of the electoral process. By not addressing such concerns, they're eroding it further.
Mrs. Sarma, Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Manoj Jha, Dipankar Bhattacharya, several of them, when they came out and addressed the press, they said that this meeting with the Election Commission was unfriendly. It was not cordial at all, because the Election Commission was not ready to hear us on any single point. But my question to you is that since this process has already begun, it began on 25th of June. It's a month-long process which is going to end presumably on July 25th. The monsoon session starts on 21st July, and if we are to presume that the opposition parties will raise this issue, I think with just 4 or 5 days in hand, much of the time will be lost. What should be the immediate steps taken by the people of Bihar, by the political parties who are opposing this process?
The only, the time available is very short. This kind of a survey cannot be done, I can tell you. Straight away, I conducted elections. Now, the only way is to go to the court. I wish the highest court in the country, looks at all this TV coverage and all these reports and all that, takes no more cognizance of this. At least they should ask questions saying, why? Are you excluding? See, excluding a voter from the electoral process is a very serious matter. And subjecting him to harassment as an additional dose.
It's like disenfranchising crores and crores of voters, not only in one state, that is Bihar, but since they have said that they will replicate a similar exercise in other states, so which means it's going to create havoc in the country.
Absolutely. In fact, they are going to use this process to exclude huge chunks of the voters, especially the people whose literacy levels are low, people who are disadvantaged, who are diffident. They don't know what a document means. This is something which is highly objectionable.